it's Pastor Dan from Dexter Gospel Church with another Proverbs Practical. I appreciate you watching. Our proverb today speaks of the blessing of having enough for yourself and your household. We're in Proverbs 27, verses 25 through 27. These verses here are a culmination of the advice of the previous two. And they say, the hay appears, and the tender grass shows itself, and the herbs of the mountains are gathered. The lambs are for your clothing, and the goats are for the price of the field. And thou shalt have goat's milk enough for thy food, and for the food of thy household, and for the maintenance of thy maidens. So culminating those previous two verses, it started talking about the life of the simple farmer. If you turned back to the fields, turned back to the farmer's life, and you paid close attention to what you had there, your flocks and your herds, here's how it could work out. You would have your hay fields, and you would mow them, and you would see fresh grass springing up. You could go out into the more barren places, unsuited for hay, and gather the herbs that would give flavor and vitamins. You would feed your flocks from the hay, and they would provide you either the money or the wool to produce or purchase your clothing. Even if you were forced to move or didn't own your own land, as long as you had a sufficient herd of goats and sheep, you could rent fields and find grazing. You wouldn't just have food and clothing, you'd also have the milk of the animals too. And there wouldn't be enough just for the subsistence of one or two people. You could support a whole household if you were smart and careful and fortunate with your flocks and your herds. You could take care of your wife and children, and you could have employees that you could afford to take care of too. We so often forget in our pursuit of ambition, power, and wealth that there is a simple blessing to sufficiency, to having enough, to caring for what we do have, to working hard and having that hard work supply our needs and the needs of those that we care for. These were David's roots. He was a shepherd before he was ever a king. These were the roots of Israel's entire nation. Sure, the herds could lead to great wealth. They did for Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. But at their heart, the herds were not ambition. They were sufficiency, stability. They didn't enable you to be lazy, like so many who found wealth and power in palace politics, but they did enable you to survive and to help others too. It was good for even a king's son to be reminded that there was goodness in sufficiency, in simple hard work and the supply of necessities and the maintenance of others. Life didn't have to be a race, a competition, a war, always striving to have the most or be on top or be the most famous or most respected or most in charge. And ironically, that mindset of simple responsibility, hard work, diligence, and focus on what we have and are responsible for is probably the best way to handle the pressures and problems of politics and palace life that he would live with. Contentment coupled with diligence could make a man a great leader if he learned the lessons of his forefathers with the sheep. This ought to also incline a wise ruler to humility. Just because he lives in a palace, is he really better than that lowly farmer out in the fields with his sheep? There are certainly perks to power and wealth, but that didn't automatically make him or his life better. He ought to remember that there were different duties that people could undertake, different priorities that they could have, different ways they could live and still be fulfilled and wholesome. The farmer is not intrinsically better than the king, but neither is the king intrinsically better than the farmer. Not in the eyes of God, not in the eyes of one who knew them both. I hope this video is a help to you. If it is, give it a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for more content like it. Until next time, I hope you stay well and be content with enough.